Welcome to LuxeNews. Our mission today is a strategic audit of South Africa, looking ahead to the 2026 State of the Nation address. We're going to move beyond the political speeches to dissect the nation's real structural stresses. Our key finding is a concept we call manufactured stability, a fragile surface that masks a deep underlying disequilibrium. We'll decode the upcoming Sona using 4 powerful frameworks: structural demographic theory, the wealth pump, elite overproduction, and social dominance theory. Let's start with the Government of National Unity, or GNU. We see this as a defensive strategy thesis. Essentially, the established elites, mainly the ANC and the DA, have formed an intra-elite pact for what you could call shared survival. Their goal was to neutralize the radical counter-elites and stabilize immediate political risk. Think of it as duct tape governance. It holds things together for now, but it leaves the core drivers of instability, the massive youth bulge and the relentless wealth pump, completely untouched. The national dialogue that followed is what we'd call narrative economics. It's about managing public expectations without making any real structural changes. Now, let's talk about the capable state myth. The data tells a story that completely tears this myth apart. Right now, the private security industry has over 630,000 active officers. Compare that to the South African Police Service, which has only about 140,000 officers. That's a ratio of 4.5 to 1. This isn't just a statistic, it's a quantitative declaration of state failure. It represents the privatization of the state's monopoly on violence. What we're seeing is the elite purchasing a parallel state. They have private power, private water, and private security. This creates a dual-tiered citizenship, enforced not by law, but by subscription fees. This brings us to what structural demographic theory identifies as the most dangerous factor: elite overproduction. Youth unemployment for those aged 15 to 34 is a staggering 46.1%. But what's even more critical is graduate unemployment, which hit 12.2% in the first quarter of 2025. The system is producing a massive surplus of credentialed, educated young people who simply cannot find the high-status jobs they were promised. This creates a highly volatile class of counter-elites. This crisis of credentialism is made worse by degree inflation, where you now need a master's degree to get the same edge a bachelor's degree once gave you. The system tries to manage this threat by co-opting the leaders of movements like Fees Must Fall, turning student leaders into MPs. This tactic decapitates the movement, but the engine driving the discontent keeps running at full speed. Let's look at housing through our PIL framework, which stands for property as debt. The housing market isn't really about shelter. It's a debt-leveraged financial asset. The middle class takes on massive debt, leveraged against their future income. This becomes the primary engine for transferring their lifetime earnings, in the form of interest, directly to the financial and asset-owning elite. We see choke prices, like rentals hitting 150,000 Rand a month in some areas, which effectively enforce a new kind of economic apartheid. Next is healthcare, and what we call the longevity divide. While the government promises the National Health Insurance, or NHI, the reality on the ground is that private medical aid premiums are soaring. Discovery's rates went up 7.9%, which is 4.6% higher than the Consumer Price Index. This is a structural, accelerated form of medical inflation. The wealthy are literally able to buy an extra 10 to 15 years of healthy life. This differential access to healthcare is perhaps the most profound biological enforcement of social dominance in the country. Now for infrastructure. Eskom's improved energy availability factor might look good on paper, but it's deceptive. It's largely driven by the private secession of major industrial consumers who have moved off the grid. The big shift to renewables, what we term the green wealth bump, is transforming energy into a financialized asset class. This only accelerates the K-shaped economy, where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. But the real existential threat for 2026 is the water crisis. This will lead to the inequality of thirst. a crisis that will severely worsen all the other structural tensions we've discussed. And what about trade? The pivot to BRICS is mostly narrative economics. South Africa's trade relationship with China follows a classic colonial dependency model. We export low-value raw materials like gold and iron ore, and in return, we import high-value finished goods. This extraction model sacrifices the very industrial jobs that are desperately needed to absorb the country's massive youth bulge. So, how do we decode the 2026 State of the Nation address with all this in mind? The K-shaped trajectory, with 4,100 millionaires on one side and 37.9% of the population in poverty on the other, isn't an accident. It's the structural design, and the GNU is there to maintain it. When you listen to Sona, you need to decode the language. When you hear the rhetoric of unity, understand it as elite collusion to protect asset prices. When you hear the scapegoating strategy, blaming criminal syndicates for the country's problems, recognize it as an attempt to avoid admitting the state's own failure of capacity. The promise of the NHI is rhetorical pacification. The 7.9% private medical aid hike is the material reality for those who can afford it. And any youth employment stimulus will likely be a deadwood intervention, an expensive bandage on the hemorrhage of 12.2% graduate unemployment. The stability of the government of national unity is the most fragile thing in South Africa today. The real question is, what internal demographic shock or infrastructure failure will be the one to finally break this elite pact? This is LuxeNews, where we decode status to curate actionable insight. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments below. And if you found this report valuable, please share it with someone you think would be interested. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep analysis. Thanks for watching.